Okay, now we continue with chapter 4, karma. And in this lecture, we will talk about different categories of actions, like good or bad or non-defined based on their moral nature. We'll talk about meritorious, demeritorious, and immovable actions based on where the effect of the action will ripen. We will talk about retributive actions, which can be classified as determined or non-determined. And also, we shall share about the 10 bad paths of action. And in the end of this lecture, we will discuss on how one's good roots can be cut off or recovered. So first, when it comes to the moral nature, it has a threefold nature of good, bad, or non-defined. And a good action is an action with a joyful effect or agreeable retribution. Most of the time, we talk about the retribution in the desire realm. And if it is not only good, it's also pure action, then we will say that it will not give rise to retribution, but it will bring about the attainment of nirvana. So, in a way, we can say, as Vasubandhu said, the good and impure actions they can temporarily it's a temporary way to alleviate the suffering, while the good and pure actions they are the ultimate way to cure the suffering and bring people out of samsara. And the next kind is about the bad actions. Well, the bad actions, it is important to keep in mind that every time when we say a bad, when we say a defilement that is bad, or when we say an action that is bad, because every time when we use the word bad in Abhidhamma, it actually means it means that something that could only belong to the desire realm, because only desire realm has bad factors. Above that, the form or formless realm, they do not have bad factors. They don't have the bad defilements or bad actions. At most, they would have some obscured defilements, but that's not bad, and they would not have the effect of bad actions as well. So the bad actions, obviously, with a painful effect or disagreeable retribution, that only exist in Kamadhatu, or this realm of desire. And some Samgabhadra, he also explained the word bad from another perspective, that these actions, in a way, these actions are called bad because they would prevent us from cultivating the good, dharma, and entering nirvana eventually. So the last kind by this threefold nature is the non-defined actions. So they are neither good nor bad, and it will bring no joyful nor painful effect. As Master Pu Guan said, there is no special power like the above two. If we see this, if we see these actions, good, bad, or non-defined, from from a from another perspective, or from a destiny, from another perspective on which at which destiny the actions will bring us to. We can say that the good karma, the good actions, can project joyful destinies like the devas, and the bad actions can project miserable or the unfortunate planes, the unfortunate destinies like the hell or the hungry ghost or the animals. So this is about the classification of karmas based on their karmic natures. Then we have another kind of classification, that we have meritorious, demeritorious, or immovable. This is classified actually by the stability of fruition. If an action is meritorious, then they are good actions in Kamadhatu. While the previous threefold nature, I said the good actions, well, of course, it includes the good actions in Kamadhatu, but it's not limited. It also includes good actions in the top, in the upper two realms. But here, if we say a meritorious action, well, that would refer to good actions in Kamadhatu only in the realm of desire. For example, the practice of giving. And the next one, of course, the effect of course, this meritorious action, like giving, will benefit beings, and then it will ripen joyful effect as well. The next kind is demeritorious action. It refers specifically to bad actions in the desire realm, which is needless to say. It's demeritorious and it's bad, and therefore it only exists in Kamadhatu. For example, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and false speech, and so on. They are harmful to beings with painful effects. And then the last kind is the immovable actions. They refer to good actions above Kamadhatu, like in the form or formless realm. It is immovable in a way that the place, the effect, the retribution will ripen, will be decided. It will, if, for example, one person cultivates jhana, meditation, and after he dies, he will be born into that corresponding jhana plane. So therefore, it is called immovable. But we do need to know a little bit more on why the meritorious and demeritorious actions are movable actions, while the good actions above Kamadhatu are called immovable actions. So we can have a few examples for you to better understand it. And the first example is that once there was a Brahmin, a person that was born with the highest caste in ancient India. So he actually practiced giving very often. So he should have got an opportunity, of course, due to his good actions of giving. It would be possible. It would be possible for him to be reborn, for example, into Deva, into as Devas. However, one day he saw an elephant, one of the guardian elephant. Do you still remember that we have mentioned this guardian elephant once in chapter 3, that we say in chapter 3 the world, we say that on the summit of the mountain Sumeru, the 33 gods, they have a defense system, and that defense system also include the guardian elephants. So one day he saw, I don't know, maybe a statue or maybe an image of that guardian elephant, and he liked it so much. He had developed a very strong attachment to such an elephant. So he vowed that he hoped to be reborn as a guardian elephant as well, to enjoy the different offerings from people, for example. So this kind of attachment plus the vow disturbed the maturation of his meritorious action from giving, so instead of being born as devas, he was eventually reborn as a guardian elephant instead, just like he vowed, or as he wished. So this is one example that this kind of good actions in the desire realm is actually movable. And another example is that this is like a story recorded by. This is a story recorded in a book, the preliminary practices for the great perfection by Pachut Rinpoche. And the story is that a young woman, she was a Buddhist, and she practiced those good actions very often, and she honored those ordained monks or nuns, and very often she gave food, for example, to she offered food to the sangha. But once she decided to do the same, to offer food to the sangha, to especially one of a very famous disciple of Buddha. However, when she talked about this with her husband, with her son, and also with a lady in her family, they gave very opposite or very intense response to her, that they do not want to do the same, and they even cursed this action of giving. They even cursed the sangha. They cursed the master, that disciple of Buddha. So she became very angry. This young woman, she vowed that she hoped to be born in a place where she could witness the sufferings of her husband, her son, and that maid in her family. So, although she had such good actions of giving, especially considering the very superior sangha as the field, her perverted vows unfortunately dragged her to rebirth into the plane of hungry ghost. And then there, as she wished, as a hungry ghost, she witnessed the suffering of her husband, her son, and her maid. Sad story, truly. And so that's another example that the good actions in Kamadhatu is movable. So the fact is, fruition of actions in Kamadhatu can be disturbed or redirected and redirected by other factors, while good actions in the higher realms and the form of formless, that they are immovable. And what can we learn actually from this? What is important for us? Well, it is important for us to know that we perform all good actions with benefiting vows, especially with Bodhisattva, with a Buddha mind, right? And for instance, we vow to attain Buddhahood, to help sentient beings, to be reborn into Buddha's Pure Land, and we vow to come back and back again and again to benefit sentient beings with Buddha's teachings. So we do good actions with such good vows. That would really help, and that would avoid good actions to become to be redirected to other places that are uncomfortable or that are miserable. So this is about the movable and immovable actions. If an immovable action, you already know an example, right? If you start to cultivate the first dhyana meditation, when you die, you will be born into the first dhyana plane as in the next life, right? In the next life. So that is immovable. Okay, next let's talk about two categories of the retributive actions. It can be either determined or undetermined. By determined, we mean that retributive action will ripen its effect at a certain time, in a certain form, and both are determined. And quite the opposite are the undetermined actions. Well, let's take a look at first the retributive actions that are determined. We have three types, depending on when exactly will the effects of these actions ripen or for the sentient being to be experienced. So these determined actions could be could have their effects ripening in the present life, meaning same life as the action itself, or in the next life, meaning after we die, the next life. Or in a future life, it means that it could be next life, or other lives further, or other lives more distant from the next life. So these are about the determined actions, 3 types. But we also have undetermined actions, meaning that the effects of which may or may not ripen. And other schools have a different division on this undetermined actions, but let's just leave it for now. We know what it means, and that's enough. We can also say that the determined actions that will ripen its effect exactly in this life, they are relatively rare, not very common, but we do have this kind of cases, and we will very soon come to those cases. Yeah, we'll talk about it very soon. About the determined actions that will ripen its effect in the next life. So one of the examples is the immovable actions we just mentioned. If you cultivate dhyana meditations in the next life, you will be reborn in that corresponding dhyana plane. That's an example. And if it ripens in a future life, for instance, if you kill someone in this life, maybe that effect will ripen in the 3rd or even further lives. Okay, now let's take a look at the actions projecting existence. These are the same meaning as when we say projecting actions. So projecting or feeling actions, we will discuss a bit more about these two in the next lecture. But what it means is that actions that will drag sentient beings to a certain destiny. So if you do something good, it will drag you to a rebirth as Deva, or if you do something really bad, it will drag you to be reborn as a hungry ghost. So these are called projecting actions. And among those determined and undetermined actions, the actions with effects to be experienced in the present life will not have the power to project coming existence, to project existence that is coming next life or even further, because their effects will ripen exactly in this life, and then after that it will lose the power to further project coming existence. So that's why. And the other types of determined or undetermined actions would be possible to have this power for projection of common existence. Then we will talk about the 4 causes for an action to become determined, because this is very important to know. By understanding these, we will try to make those good actions determined and try to avoid those bad actions to become determined. Right? So the first case would be that if one has a very intense defilement or intense faith when he or she is conducting good or bad actions. Like if one is killing with a very intense hostility or anger, or if one is praying with very intense, very strong faith towards the 3 jewels, then it is possible that that action will become determined. And the second cause would be that an action that is continuously performed or constantly repeated. It will help make the action a determined one. For instance, if one continuously kills animals every day, that will accumulate to a very heavy action. Or if one constantly pray to the 3 jewels every day, or constantly offer to the Sangha, for example, these will likely make the action determined. Or if the action is with regard to a field of qualities, meaning Budgala of great merits, such as the 3 jewels or noble beings, then it is also possible for the action to become determined. Or if one kills one's parents, well, that is extremely serious, because killing one's mother or father, these are two anantaya karma. Now we will talk about that in maybe the next lecture. They are so serious that it is determined action and it will ripen its effect in the next life. A person who does this kind of killing his or her own mother or father, will fall into the avisi, hell, in the next life. Determined. And we also have 3 cases where actions will bring effects that will ripen in the present life. So not only determined, because when it is determined, it may or may not ripen in this life. But for the following 3 cases, if you it will ripen definitely in the present life. For instance, the first case would be that by the power of superior field, even though the intent may be weak. So we have a story of Buddha in his previous life, a story of a previous life of Buddha, Shakyamuni. So he was once a bhikshu, a very knowledgeable one, mastering Tipitaka. And once there was a dispute happening among the sangha. Those monks they had a conflict regarding maybe some meanings of Dharma or whatever. So they had a dispute. And no one could stop it. Very intense. They asked him to come and quench the dispute. He hesitated, so he didn't come in the first time. He didn't come immediately. And then when he eventually came, another monk who was less knowledgeable had already come and managed to settle the monks and to settle that dispute. So he was a bit unhappy, and he actually said some really harsh words to them. He said, "A woman." He said, what did he say? Let me see. He said, a woman settled a women's dispute. So he cursed that bhikshu who was less knowledgeable than him as a woman, and he even cursed the entire sangha as a group of women. So as a result, that bad action led to him to be reborn as a woman for 500 lives continuously. And the second case, is that by the power of very strong intention, whenever it is for good or bad action. And here is a story. Once there was a eunuch. He was walking by a river, and then on his road back home, probably he met another man who was driving a flock of bulls towards another place. So he was curious and asked the man, where are you going? What would happen to the bulls? So the man answered him that the bulls shall be castrated. And upon hearing this, he was very sad, because probably that reminded him what happened to himself. So then a big compassion arises, and he decided to save those bulls from being castrated. He used all his fortune, all his money, to buy those bulls and afterwards set them free. With this good action and very strong intention, a very strong compassion in this case, he regained his manhood, meaning he regained his male sexual faculty after having freed the bulls. The third case where an action will bring effect that ripen in the present life would be by the power of a noble one's definitive detachment from a stage where the action belongs to. This is a little bit difficult to understand, but I believe you can. For example, in the case of Mahayana, we all know that he's one of the best principles of Buddha. Unfortunately, he had some bad actions in many lives ago. He cursed. He said some really harsh words to his own mother. He even beat her mother. So that bad action eventually ripened when, in this life, when he was with Buddha, when he became an arhat, a perfected being. So he was about to enter Nirvana, but before he entered Nirvana, that strong and bad action will ripen. So that it's by the power of a noble one's definitive detachment from stage. It means that he was definitively detached from all three realms. So that will make the actions, even it was actions many lives ago, it will ripen in the present life. So this is a very special case when it comes to noble beings. And it's not just limited to arhats or the perfected beings. For the non-returners, it may also happen. Like a non-returner means if a sentient being achieved or obtained this fruit of non-returner, it means that after he dies, he will not return to the desire realm anymore. So he is going to leave this stage because he has been detached from this realm of desire. And that will make some of his determined actions, maybe many lives years ago, to ripen, to have an effect in this present life before he left this realm of desire. That's how it is. And we also have 5 objects towards whom good or bad actions will cause immediately ripening effects. So this could be even, so this is, let's take a look. Which 5? So when a good or bad action is directed towards Buddha, well, that effect will ripen immediately. Or towards one who has just emerged from either cessation samadhi or loving kindness meditation or the non-conflict concentration or the path of vision or the fruit of perfected being. The effect will ripen immediately after that. We have already talked about the cessation samadhi, and the loving kindness meditation is a meditation that with a very strong and good will towards all sentient beings. So if one has just emerged from this kind of meditation and someone does good or bad actions towards him, that effect will ripen immediately. Also the non-conflict concentration. This is a very specific, very special concentration practiced by arhats, by perfected beings of sharp faculties only. And if they just emerged from this kind of concentration and someone at that time does good or bad actions, then the effect will ripen immediately. And the path of vision as well. The path of vision, someone just entered the path of vision and then emerged from that. It means that somebody has just become a noble being. That's a huge milestone with a lot of merits. So if you do good or bad actions towards him, right after that, the effect will ripen immediately. And also the fruit of perfected being. That means someone, a sentient being has just become a perfected being, just become an arhat. And when he or she emerged from that kind of state, and you do good or bad stuff, you praise him, or you offer food to him, or you curse or beat him, well then that effect will ripen immediately. About the determined actions, Mahayana actually has a different view on this determined actions, because according to Sravakayana, or like this Savastivādas, they believe that determined actions that ripen in this life or next or in the future, it will ripen anyway it will ripen definitely. But Mahayana scholars or the schools of Mahayana, they would believe rather these determined actions can also be changed, can also be redirected. For example, there is a famous dharani in the Chinese Buddhism. It's a dharani from the Ksitigaba from Ksitigaba Bodhisattva, and many people chant it. It sounds like it sounds like this: Om Bola Monin Tonin Soha. Om Bola Monin Tonin Soha. So that's a dharani from Ksitigaba Bodhisattva, and this dharani literally means that homage to the power that destroys fixed karma. So the fixed karma, it means determined actions. So according to Mahayana, even fixed karma can be redirected or destroyed. Okay, next we will continue with the 10 bad path of action.